Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Judge Cantrell Entertainment proudly brings to you the second episode of the brand new series, Drive by Drive, with your host, the superpower man of the hour, inspirational sensational, the Judge Cantrell, the one and only. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the show. We appreciate you watching. If you haven't seen the first episode, make sure you go and watch the first episode. It was quite a treat. But yeah, so enough talk. We got a lot to talk about, so let me get into these introductions. You have already met two of my amazing broadcast partners already. The talented Christopher Young and Seth Winefield is back as well. But new to the scene, but not really because you've seen him on the channel before if you've watched my podcast, the $1 Million Man himself, Million Jackson, is joining us for this brand new edition of Drive by Drive. Welcome, boys. Great to see you. Million's rocking the Gryffindor jersey. Your boy is rocking the Bay, as always. And I'm pretty sure Chris is rocking his White Sox hat, as always. So, yeah, there you go. Shout out Chicago. So, anyway, boys, what a week it was in football. We had a lot to talk about. Week 2 reactions. Let's see. I think one of the biggest stories is, the Las Vegas, that's going to be weird to say now, the Las Vegas Raiders in what can be seen as an upset. They upset, I should say, the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football in their brand new stadium, Allegiant Stadium. What were your thoughts on that game? What did you guys think about, Drew Brees' style of play? Do you guys think it was more on Drew Brees, or was it just, John Gruden, calling a better game than Sean Payton? What were your thoughts on the game as a whole? Let's start with the newest member of the Drive by Drive crew, Million Jackson. Thoughts on that Monday Night Football game?
Man, so historically, if you know who I am as a person, you know that I don't like the Raiders, especially because of the Bay Area feud, but also that I think Derek Carr is nothing but subpar. So this whole game I'm yelling, Derek Carr is trash, you're this, you're that. But that game, I'm a superstitious person. First game in a new stadium, I don't think Sean Payton really really missed the mark there, but we did see some holes in Drew Brees and really expose the fact that when Michael Thomas isn't there, can he really make those deep passes, especially in the clutch, the way he had to, and didn't really show up that much, but yeah, I mean, as far as that, I was really surprised that the Raiders even won, because every time I checked on the game, I didn't watch it live, but every time I checked in on the game, and just certain stats, I felt like Derek Carr, he was playing above his usual level, but yeah, I was just surprised.
Yeah, definitely. You're definitely on the mark with the Drew Brees. There definitely was some holes in his game for sure. That game. Seth, I'm gonna kick this question over to you. Now that we've seen what a New Orleans offense looks like without the likes of a Michael Thomas, were you surprised at all that it was struggling the way it was to get going against that some would say a lackluster but not really, because I think personally Las Vegas's defense is kind of slept on with Corey Littleton and Max Crosby over there on the line. I think it's pretty slept on. But were you surprised at the fact that Drew Brees wasn't finding his flow like he normally does by the second quarter?
Yeah, it was a really interesting game. I was watching it, and I definitely came to the conclusion that Las Vegas did not win that game. New Orleans lost it. That was honestly, it was embarrassing for New Orleans, coming from a player of Drew Brees' stature, the respect that he carries, being a top-tier NFL quarterback for so long, and falling apart like that when you don't have your number one receiver. This team still has Alvin Kamara. This team has Emmanuel Sanders. This team has Josh Hill. This is a versatile team that you can do stuff with even without Michael Thomas. And I just thought they completely collapsed against what I believe is a subpar Raiders team. I was looking at the Raiders stat line, and I've never been high on Derek Carr, but I'll give Derek Carr credit with his 3 touchdowns and 0 picks. He played a good game. But looking over the stat line one more time, I looked at the Raiders defense, and they did not pick up a single sack the entire game. Yet they won against a bona fide top 5 NFL team without picking up a single sack the entire game. That information tells me that New Orleans had an embarrassing loss where they just crumbled without their top tier receiver. And the Raiders, good win. I'm still not high on the Raiders moving forward.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I think that offense is still unproven. I think the real upset about that game was, how inefficient New Orleans defense was. When you got guys like Cameron Jordan on that line, you're expecting, to get to the quarterback, which they did. I think they recorded like maybe 1 or 2 sacks that game, so they did their job up front maybe. But that secondary, with Marcus Lattimore and Marshawn Williams and all that, Marcus Williams, I believe it is, rather, excuse me. But, the secondary wasn't doing its job all game, you know what I mean? And I think it's weird that, that rather than attacking the rookie corner on Las Vegas's defense, Sean Payton sort of went after some seasoned veterans, rather, right? Because Sean Payton's not afraid, to make to call some really, really interesting and intriguing offensive plays. Sean Payton is arguably the greatest offensive mind, arguably up there with Bill Belichick and, that whole crew. So definitely one of the better offensive minds in that game, but, just offense was not clicking. So I'm gonna throw this one over to Chris. We saw, that Emmanuel Sanders did not record a single yard. He was very, he was nowhere to be found, basically obsolete. Oh, goodness. Okay. All right, then. But, yeah, basically obsolete that entire game. So the car is agreeing with me. No Emmanuel Sanders. So what were your thoughts on the fact that, Emmanuel Sanders was nowhere to be found on that field, Chris?
Basically, you guys hit on all the main factors to that game with New Orleans and Las Vegas. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders, even though I feel like Emmanuel Sanders, he should have gotten himself some minutes in that game, because maybe he should have had filled in for Michael Thomas in that particular game, especially because even though Drew Brees, he had accumulated over 300 yards that game, you could tell he wasn't really that comfortable against Las Vegas for some odd reason. And with what you've seen for the last 2 games that he played against Tampa Bay and Las Vegas, everybody's starting to form a little bit of speculation on whether or not age is actually catching up to Drew Brees. So really, I'm thinking that without Michael Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders in the lineup, will New Orleans be able to actually win games in this particular season? But really, for Las Vegas, I don't really have that many high hopes for Las Vegas. I feel like this was one pure out of luck. They just caught New Orleans on a bad week, but you really don't know what's going to happen with New Orleans. Will Drew Brees be able to recuperate this week, or will we see more of the same?
That's a good question. That's a great point.
Judge, is it good if I ask something?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Shoot.
So, do you guys think? I don't want to make this too political now, but do you think that some of the dissension, because most of the dissension between some of Drew Brees' comments about like the social and political climate now, I feel like Michael Thomas had more to say about that, but now he's injured. Do you guys think this is more of a chemistry problem, particularly in the offense of the Saints? You feel like that could factor? Because I know Alvin Kamara, he had some thoughts, and was on the brink of not even re-signing. They didn't play some other players, and it seemed like, especially in the offense, not too much particularly defense, but so much in the offense, especially with Drew Brees under center, that it just felt like something wasn't clicking. That was there even in weeks before, even last year, up until they lost in the playoffs. I feel like something was just off, and I don't know if that's something that you can particularly say about, but like even this whole year, their performances haven't seemed like they click. We haven't seen the same New Orleans offense, particularly that we've been used to seeing.
Yeah, well, I think that argument can be made for a lot of teams. You know what I mean? Because every team is every person on every team is experiencing the fact that has been no justice for the likes of Breonna Taylor. There's repeated instances of police brutality against African Americans. So I think every team is dealing with it, but I think the Saints, might have been dealing with it, just a little bit differently, considering how close they are to the areas in which, most of those events occur. So I definitely think that could be a factor. But, I was talking to my mom about this earlier, and yes, I talked to my mom about football because women are into football too. Don't let anyone tell you different. Anyway, I was talking to her about the season anyway, and she was just like, I don't think that the NFL, should have gone through with this season. I think more teams should have opted out, and if enough teams opted out, then, just don't have the season altogether rather than just specific players opting out. And, it was really interesting because I was like, there are a whole bunch of people who have been waiting, for the past 6 months for football to come back. But then again, there are also some who are just like, we don't need this right now. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a really interesting concept. It's definitely going to be, examined further as we get into the year. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about. That's going to wrap up our week 2 talk, even though we only talked about one game. We wish that we could talk about all the games that happened during week 2, but we want to highlight, some of the more important ones and some of the more interesting and controversial stories so that we can eventually move ahead and to get into week 3. However, we are going to get into a little bit more of week 2 and how week 2 affects the future of some teams. And that segment is coming right after this, and it'll be led by none other than the main man himself, Seth Winfield. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right, what's up, everybody? It's Seth. And I think now we're going to talk about one of the biggest headlines that I've seen throughout this NFL season. Even though we're only approaching week 3, this is what I think the biggest headline so far this year, which is injuries. There have been an astounding number of injuries in the NFL so far. I read that just last week alone, around the NFL, there were 7 torn ACLs in one weekend, which is crazy. That's unprecedented. It's never happened before. So the question I'm going to ask all of y'all is, what injury do you think is going to make the biggest impact on one team, a team that may have been going to the playoffs and now you don't think has any shot? And what team do you think can navigate their injuries quite a bit in a better way and still has a very good shot at making the playoffs or even winning the division? Whoever wants to take this, go right ahead.
Billy, you look pretty excited. Why don't you take this one?
I don't feel like this team will not make the playoffs, but I do feel like it's going to be even more of an uphill battle. Yeah, I know, Seth, you asked us what injury, but I think the injuries of both Nick Bosa and Jimmy Garoppolo are monumental. And, okay, I'm a Niners fan, but when I tell you, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, Nick Mullins, I just don't feel comfortable yet, especially because we haven't seen too much of him as of lately. And when he was playing, I just think he might be a little washed and losing so much from our defense already, or not so much, but we did lose a lot of our line. Nick Bosa being there was just had so much impact on our just on a whole defensive scheme. It's like now that he's for sure out indefinitely, it hurts, and I feel like even if we make a wild card, we may be out in the wild card if we do end up even sniffing the playoffs. But yeah, D Ford's also injured. Raheem Mostert's also injured. I don't know how the timelines for that, but George Kittle as well. So a lot just went downhill.
Yeah.
but I felt for that. As for who can navigate around some of them, I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. I know we were literally just talking about Tyrod Taylor and then Justin Herbert coming in, so I feel like they filled that pretty well. So I feel like that team won't suffer too much. But some of these other teams, like maybe Denver, might suffer a little bit more too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guided.
I let me tell you why I don't think an injury to Jimmy Garoppolo is as detrimental as people presume it to be, because Jimmy Garoppolo is coming back at some point. We don't know when, but we know for sure that he will be back, right? So I in the sense that, and I am still a Niner fan, yes. So don't get me wrong, I do trust Nick Mullins, right? And I understand that I definitely trust Jimmy Garoppolo more than I trust Nick Mullins. But you got to remember, Nick Mullins is no scrub. He's been under the same playbook for the last 4 years. The entire time that Kyle Shanahan has been the head coach of the 49ers, Nick Mullins was there studying the playbook. He came up from the practice squad. Then he had himself a year in 2018 when Jimmy Garoppolo went down with an ACL. And, that obviously put him over as QB2 above CJ Beathard, right? So I trust Nick Mullins to get a dub against teams like the Giants and the Dolphins and, yes, the Eagles, the former Super Bowl champions, because they aren't looking so hot right now. I trust him enough to, manage the game the way he needs to manage it and, not make ridiculous, silly mistakes and, just keep us in there and keep us involved. Yes, the loss of Nick Bosa is super detrimental. The loss of Solomon Thomas, also very detrimental. But, with the signing of Ziggy Ansah, a former first rounder and a former Pro Bowler, if I'm not mistaken, I think we will be okay, and I think we will be able to manage, and I still think we make it to the playoffs. Heck, I think we make a deep run in the playoffs at that. I don't think the Super Bowl hangover is really going to affect us the way people think it is. I don't think we're going to have a year like the Rams did, the year that they went to the Super Bowl and lost. I don't think we're going to have that kind of year. So I think we'll be okay. The team that I think is going to struggle the most without with an injury is the New York Giants and Saquon Barkley, who also tore his ACL. Let's be honest, the NFC East is absolutely egregious, just an abysmal division. And I don't think anyone had the Giants coming out of the NFC East at all. But I do think that with Saquon Barkley on the field for them every week, they have a decent chance of winning against certain teams, like maybe Detroit or Minnesota or Philadelphia, even Dallas, one of those games, even Chicago. Sorry, Chris, but I think they're good enough to beat certain teams on any given Sunday. Now you don't have Saquon Barkley, who is your franchise player by far. It's not about Daniel Jones becoming the next Eli Manning. It's about Saquon Barkley leading y'all to, back to the promised land and back to prominence in the NFC East. He's gone now, and you have to rely on Devontae Freeman, who hasn't been hot since the 2016 season that the Falcons went to the Super Bowl. So I think the Giants are going to have a tough time, and both teams that are suffering heavy injuries play each other this week. The Giants and the Niners play each other, so it's going to be really interesting to see how both those teams recover from such, important injuries. So that's my pick, Saquon and the Giants.
Okay. Chris, you got anything to add?
Man, like for starters, I just want to say this whole trajectory of the entire league has significantly changed.
Watch out, fantasy.
Because Raheem Mostert, because on fantasy, had he not gotten injured, I would have lost a game. To be real with you, had he not gotten injured, I would have lost a game. And just to change the trajectory of all fantasy leagues for real, like Raheem Mostert got injured, Saquon Barkley got injured, Nick Bosa got injured, Jimmy G got injured, Christian McCaffrey got injured, and Le'Veon Bell, he had gotten injured in week 1.
Yeah.
So this whole entire trajectory for any fantasy leagues is completely just changed significantly. It had done a complete 180. And really, I don't want to focus on the team like Judge had, but really I wanted to talk about like Saquon Barkley and what his injury means for him, because I was really looking forward to what he was going to do this season, because he had a okay he had an okay season last season, but really, from what I seen with what he was doing this off season with the workouts he was putting in, that hardcore workouts he was putting in, I was hoping that maybe he would put up some monster stats, but with that ACL injuries, those ACL injuries are a killer, bro. So really, I just want to. If I could if I could be able to like rewind this whole week and be able to not and be able to tweak Saquon's injury, I would, because I really wished I could have seen a season out of him.
Yeah, real quick, Seth, before you interject, sorry to cut you off. Well, with
Sure.
Saquon, I had Saquon giving Derrick Henry a run for his money for all-time leading rusher this year. I did. I honestly did. I thought if anyone could take King Henry's spot this year as the all-time leading rusher for the season, I thought it would have been Saquon Barkley. And now, that's just not the case. So everyone bow down to King Henry again this year. That's my prediction now. King Henry leads the NFL in rushing
I still
yards.
wouldn't have had Saquon because of his line, though.
That's true. That's a good point.
I mean, going into the year, I had McCaffrey as the number one running back just because of what he brings in the receiving core. He can, especially for fantasy, all the catches that he gets really pad stats. And then I had Saquon 2 and then Derrick Henry 3. Obviously, with my order, the 1 and 2 runners are both out. So now Derrick Henry is going to reign supreme this year. I agree with that. I'm going to interject something with the Niners really quickly. The Niners, I was just reading the injury report for this upcoming week, and here are all the players that are going to be out. Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas, Tevin Coleman, Dee Ford, Jimmy Garoppolo, Dre Greenlaw, George Kittle, Raheem Mostert, Jason Verrett, and Ahkello Witherspoon. If I can count correctly, that would be 10 players.
Is Sherman playing?
I believe Sherman is playing. I'm not sure about that, but I believe so, which hopefully that's great. The Niners are going to be saved by Saquon Barkley not being active. Really quickly, because I know we're running out of time, I am going to disagree with you, Judge, on one thing. I am not high on Nick Mullins at all. I do not like Nick Mullins, and I do not think he is a good quarterback. I was looking at the box score of the Niners-Jets game in last week when the Niners did win 31-13, even with all their injuries, because the Jets are equivalent to a Pop Warner team. They're ridiculous. They're an awful team. But I was looking at Nick Mullins' line. Guess what his QBR is? Give me a number. Give me a number what his quarterback rating was.
Is it in the 70s?
You're way off.
Oh, my goodness.
What was it?
2.3.
Wow.
2.3 was
That's
Nick
like Mitch
Mullins.
Trubisky numbers.
Million, don't start with me.
That was his QBR against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Jimmy G was balling out. He had 2 touchdowns, 14 for 16, 131 yards, quarterback rating of almost 100. Those are very solid numbers.
Yeah.
Nick Mullins had a QBR of almost 2.
Okay. All right. Real quick, because I know we got to move on to the next segment. But let me just say, I think I am the only person outside of Kyle Shanahan and probably the rest of the 49ers team who believes in Nick Mullins as a quarterback. Let me tell you, Nick Mullins is a good backup quarterback.
That should say something, Judge.
Let me tell you, though. Listen to this. He's a backup quarterback and a good backup quarterback. Let me tell you why. Because look at the situation he is in. He has to play the Giants. Egregious team. Then the Dolphins. Not as egregious, but there are definitely some weaknesses in the Dolphins game. Then you also have to play the Eagles Sunday Night Football, right? That's if Jimmy G isn't healthy by then. If he has to play Sunday Night Football and put him under that spot, he's going to shine, and I guarantee you that. Why? Because the Eagles defense kind of lackluster. Fletcher Cox is still balling around, and he's always going to have a Pro Bowl kind of season. But let's be honest, the Philadelphia Eagles aren't looking like what they did in 2018, right? So I am perfectly satisfied with the style of play for Nick Mullins. And you gotta figure, Nick Mullins had no idea he was gonna play. He was just dressed and ready because that's what you expect as a backup quarterback. If you're the next person up, you have to get dressed for the game, no matter what, right? He wasn't expecting to play, right? He was not expecting to play at all. After the amazing season, right, that the Niners had, and after the really good season as a starter, as a starting QB Jimmy G had, Nick Mullins starting a game this year was the furthest thing from Nick Mullins' mind. Nick Mullins was probably worried about what he was going to order once he got to the Green Brier Hotel in West Virginia that night. He wasn't planning on starting. He was not planning on starting, right? And of course, you can't plan for those things, right? But when the time comes and you need to get ready, Nick Mullins is going to be ready. And I think that he's going to have himself a game. And I'm not saying a game like a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson or even a Justin Herbert who had a tremendous game. But I think he's going to do well enough to get us the win against the Giants. That's all I'll say about that.
I mean,
We'll see,
it's going to
Greg.
be
We'll
very
see.
interesting. I think the 49ers are going to have to rely on Jerick McKinnon quite a bit. But with a QBR of 2.3, my dog could get a better QBR than that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap up our injury chapter. Come on. Please stay listening because we're going to move on and talk about the pressing issues in the NFL. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Drive by Drive. Yes, change of scenery for your boy, but anyway, things happen. All right, so before we get this next segment kicked off, we're going to start it off with a score update from the NBA. I know. What are y'all talking about NBA for on a football show? It's the playoffs, so it's a big deal. Chris, what you got?
Okay, guys. So we got the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets right now, and the score is 61-51 in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. LeBron James, he's doing his work with 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists, and pretty average stats for Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray as of right now. But I'm sure they're gonna hold. I'm sure they're gonna turn up in quarter 3 and quarter 4.
Sweet. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get into this next segment, probably my favorite segment of the night. We're talking primetime. That's right. We have 2 of the greatest primetime games this season happening this week. That's right. Week 3. It's going down. I'm really excited to get into it. So let's talk about Sunday Night Football first. You got the New Orleans Saints taking on the undefeated Green Bay Packers so far. What are y'all looking forward to about this matchup? Let's kick it off. I'm going to start with Seth. Seth, what are you looking forward to specifically about this matchup? 2 of the best quarterbacks going head-to-head. What are you looking out for?
Yeah, man. Aaron Rodgers versus Drew Brees. It doesn't really get better than this. It's in the Superdome. It's in New Orleans. I think that even though there are no fans, I'm not sure what New Orleans rules are with like limited fans, if they're doing like 10, 20% capacity, where they are with that. But the Saints definitely know the Superdome a lot more, and Green Bay obviously knows Lambeau as it's one of the most historic stadiums in the NFL. This is definitely worthy of a primetime matchup. It's a great matchup. I'm very excited to see the Saints defense, particularly because the Saints defense got exposed by a relatively weak Oakland Raiders offense, especially when compared to Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and the Green Bay Packers. So I am very interested to see how Cameron Jordan and those guys hold up against the Green Bay Packers. I definitely don't think that they will be containing the Packers, but it will be very interesting to see if they can slow them down enough to get a win. So that's what comes to mind for me.
Absolutely. Chris, what you got? Saints, Packers, one of the, 2 dominant teams in the NFL. What are you looking out for?
Really, I'm kind of looking out for what their defenses are going to look like. Because Green Bay, you've seen what their defenses are, what their defense is able to do, especially for last season. Their defense was actually pretty good. But as far as the Saints is concerned, you still have speculation on how Drew Brees is going to do, especially for this week and for other weeks to come. So you really got to look out for how the defenses are gonna do, and especially how Drew Brees is gonna do for especially around the Packers defense as well. But I'm gonna make a prediction saying that the Packers are gonna etch this one out but not by that much. But I feel like the Packers are gonna be able to etch this one out.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how the defenses do. Million. Go ahead. What are your first initial thoughts on the game before I get into more
My
specific?
thoughts, honestly, a doubtful Devontae Adams. Um, big piece in their offense. Aaron Rodgers has been balling out. He's making do with what he has on the offensive side, but I feel like the X factor is especially against the New Orleans defense, who we saw look pretty lackluster last week, was going to be the wide receiver 2, Allen Lazard, and which personality shows up for him, a strong route runner, or if he kind of just is mellow this game and kind of just cruises through this game. But I feel like he's gonna have to step up, especially with Devontae Adams being tossed up in the air, and even if he does play, how effective will he be? So I feel like there's going to be a lot more. I feel like it's going to be a lot more targets for Allen Lazard, but I feel like Aaron Rodgers can make a lot out of nothing. So I really want to see what New Orleans defense does to nullify that. Honestly,
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll start it off with this. Chris, last year, the Green Bay Packers met the San Francisco 49ers twice, and on both occasions, they were in Santa Clara, California at Levi's Stadium. And on both occasions, Raheem Mostert had himself a day. It seemed like Green Bay could not stop the run at all of San Francisco. Mostert put up about, I want to say, 200-plus yards and a couple touchdowns as well. I think it might have been 2 or 3 touchdowns in that NFC Championship game, which led them to the Super Bowl. So how do you think Alvin Kamara fares against a defense that isn't that great against the run and fares a little bit better in the pass? What kind of game are you expecting from Alvin Kamara, considering the fact that Michael Thomas most likely will not be playing this game as well?
To be honest, I'm really not sure, because especially with the New Orleans with New Orleans, you really I'm still not sold on how New Orleans are gonna be able to do tomorrow. So really, I'm not sure how Green Bay is gonna fare with how their defense is gonna go, especially with what New Orleans has been able to do, but also with what's going on for the last 2 weeks with what they had done. So yeah, I'm really not sure what's gonna happen, but I still think that the Packers are gonna be able to etch this one out.
I can jump in really quickly.
Yeah.
You were talking about Alvin Kamara in the Saints Raiders game. Saints had a lot of issues, but something that was not an issue was Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara averaged over 6 yards a carry and had 2 touchdowns rushing, and had 95 yards through the air as well. So he was a dual threat. He kind of had a more speedy version of McCaffrey kind of thing going on watching the game because of his rushing and receiving threat. So I think Alvin Kamara is going to do just fine. I'm just worried about how Drew Brees does with no Michael Thomas and how this defense fares against one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, well, that's going to wrap it up for Sunday Night Football talk. But real quick before we finish, Chris and I both have the Packers beating the Saints Sunday night. Mill, Seth, final predictions. Who do you think comes out on top in this amazing quarterback versus quarterback matchup? Let's start with Mill.
Seth, you can go first. You're rolling. You can go first.
Go ahead, Seth. Yeah, that works too.
All right, so this game is going to be very close. No matter which way it goes, this is going to be a dogfight, and this is definitely going to be within a touchdown. Definitely. It's a really tough one for me, but I'm going to say Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints edge it out, and they will be winning in the Superdome.
Mill, Saints or Packers? Who comes out on top this
I'm
Sunday?
about to disagree with you, Seth. I'm sorry, but I feel as though the Packers are gonna. I feel like they're gonna edge it out. I am scared the dual threat because even when Alvin Kamara came into the league, I feel like it's better, especially now that we see that Drew Brees is more willing to go shorter. So some of those bubble screens and the screenplays for Alvin Kamara, as well as tosses and handoffs. I feel like it's gonna it may overwhelm those the DBs and linebackers just a little bit. But I feel like Darius Smith and just the Packers offense is going a lot smoother going into this season. I feel like the difference between the Packers and New Orleans defenses, because we know they're powerhouses on offenses, so they still have a lot. And Taysom Hill in New Orleans, but I feel as though the Packers are going to win this one. But like Seth said, it's definitely going to be close. Definitely, I'm more than confident that it will be a touchdown or less score differential. But I got the Packers coming out.
All right, that's it. Generations collide this Sunday as Aaron Rodgers and his Green Bay Packers take on Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. So we got a bit of a little bit of a, sort of old school matchup Sunday night. But Monday night is a different story because two of the hottest quarterbacks in the league today are taking on one another. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens host Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be such an amazing game, and I cannot wait to watch it. Boys, I'm going to get right to it because I know the talk of the town with this game really isn't really about the Baltimore Ravens or the Kansas City Chiefs. It's about Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. So, real quick, first question of many about them real quick. Who do you think has the better game? Who puts up better numbers? Who has the better quarterback rating at the end? When the clock hits 3 zeros, who's going to be the better quarterback? Well, we can start with Seth this time.
All right. So I'll just put it onto a box here. I'm going to go Lamar Jackson has the better game over Patrick Mahomes. And I'm going to outline for you specifically why. This has to do with the two defenses. I am a much bigger fan of Baltimore's defense than Kansas City's defense. If we look at this Baltimore Ravens team, I'm pulling up some statistics from the last game right now. You got some bona fide guys on this Baltimore's defense. They are a top 5 defense. You got Patrick Queen, a linebacker that they used their first rounder on, who already in his first game, I believe, picked up a sack and like 5 tackles. I think 2 of them were for a loss. Had a really good game. They picked up, I believe, around 4 sacks against the Houston Texans. They have been balling out, that defense. And I think I really like this Baltimore team. I think the Chiefs are going to have a much harder time with the dual running passing threat of Lamar Jackson than the Ravens are with Patrick Mahomes. A player that I'm going to be really interested in looking at is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back for Kansas City.
Oh, man.
He had an amazing week 1. He absolutely balled out against the Texans. And if I do remember correctly, he took a pretty major step back against the Los Angeles Chargers, only picking up 38 yards on 10 carries. So it's going to be very interesting to see in an amazing game between right now, I think, the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL, Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, what Andy Reid and those boys in Kansas City, what their plan is with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and how they're going to manage that time with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Million, you're pretty big on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You're looking at, you've been keeping your eye on him for a while now in these first 2 weeks. What kind of game are you?
Especially after first coming in, I was like, dude. Especially I didn't know if they were still going to put Mario Williams in or what was going to happen with that, but man's a beast. I feel like I'm gonna agree with Seth that Lamar's going to have the bigger game, honestly, because how we've seen. It really just depends on what the game plan is. Andy Reid and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because Patrick Mahomes, when he's handing the ball, obviously when he's handing the ball off more, it's a lot less targets to his receivers. We've seen them not put up bad numbers, but I feel like the average fan would be disappointed because it's like, oh, Patrick Mahomes is supposed to be this stellar, throwing 80% on like 20 attempts. He's supposed to hit every target. But when he's handing the ball off, then it's like, well, Lamar doesn't hand the ball off. He keeps it. I feel like he is their running back and quarterback, and his game total, because people aren't scared of Patrick. I mean, as of lately, he's been doing it a lot more. But I feel like people aren't scared of his rushing as his passing, and that Lamar he has all of that in the total package, and that he will expose more of the Kansas defense, like Seth said, than the Ravens defense, because they got some monsters on that line. So I feel as though Lamar Jackson has the better game, and that the Ravens win.
All right. Chris, who has the better game, Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson?
I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna say over the fact that since Lamar Jackson has such a diversified game, with him being able to throw the football and being able to run the football and scramble, and Patrick Mahomes is able to do that too, but not at the caliber. Well, he's not able to scramble at the caliber as Lamar Jackson is able to, obviously. But I feel like more teams are going to be making their defenses strictly for Lamar Jackson, just because of how much of a dual threat that he is. And since Patrick Mahomes is able to have a better game, like passing wise, and the fact that he has Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even though he's kind of inconsistent, but you can't really make that judgment off of 2 weeks. I'm going to say that Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to have the better game. I'm going to say that Patrick Mahomes is going to have the better game, strictly because of how many teams are going to be making defensive sets strictly based off of Lamar Jackson's behavior. But even though I'm gonna think that Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson are going to have two outstanding prospective games for each of their teams.
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong with either of these guys, which is why I think this next question is going to be really hard for you guys. But I'm going to give it to you anyway, and then we'll get into some final predictions before we move into the last segment of the day, which will just be straight up quick-fire, rapid predictions from all of us for the rest of the games happening around the league. Last question. If you had to choose, life depended on it, which quarterback you taking? You taking Lamar or you taking Pat Mahomes? Which one do you want at the end of the day? Yeah, I know this is definitely going to be. This is gonna spark some debate. And watch what you say, because I have a Chiefs fan in the home that I'm at right now. So watch what you say. Choose wisely, because
The rest of my life.
can't get it.
Well, obviously the Chiefs chose who they want for the rest of their lives. So
Right. Facts.
All
So
right.
go ahead, Mel. Start this one off. Who you taking? You had to choose a quarterback to build your NFL
that
team
is
around.
something. I feel like the fact that Lamar runs so much is going to do something to his longevity. If I had to do with the rest of my life, because he's taking those hits on the run too. I mean, you can't really catch him, but on some plays where you're going to catch him, Patrick Mahomes doesn't get touched. The celebration, you feel me? He doesn't get touched, even if he does scramble. So I feel like a better bet for me. I'm not disappointed to say this, but I'm like, man, love Lamar Jackson, but I feel like I would go with Patrick Mahomes. Generally more consistent. star power, potential. He already has a ring, third season. But, bruh, you shouldn't have given me that question. I'm going with Patty. Mahomes. My
Pat
homie.
Mahomes.
Let's go.
What it is.
Let's go.
Chris, who you taking? Pat Mahomes or Lamar Jackson?
Million. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one, my boy.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Lamar Jackson strictly because of how much he is able to run, and since he is able to run, people forget how much of a threat he is actually passing the ball. So which makes him significantly underrated. Everybody knows how much Patrick Mahomes is able to throw the ball. Everybody knows that Patrick Mahomes has the arm of a cannon, but people sleep on how much Lamar Jackson is actually able to fire the ball. He's able to fire the ball as a red pocket QB. He's able to scramble. He's able to throw it deep as well. So I feel like he has the total package. And when it's all said and done, when it comes to being a pure QB, he is able to do work. So I'm gonna have to go with Lamar Jackson too. I'm gonna have to go with Lamar Jackson.
All right. It's
Like, honestly, bro, you can't be mad at either one.
You really can't. You really can't.
Seth, you are the deciding factor. Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes?
I'm so excited to be the deciding vote. Judge, you
Choose
phrased
wisely.
this question. You phrased this question like it's a tough decision, when it is actually not a tough decision for me at all. I am hands down going with Patrick Mahomes. I am absolutely going with Patrick Mahomes for his entire career. And I'll outline for you specifically why.
Ooh, break it down.
Oh, yeah. Patrick Mahomes. Let's talk about the arm. This is your quarterback, right? Let's talk about the passing capabilities. Lamar Jackson's an amazing runner. Hands down, better runner than Patrick Mahomes any day of the week. I will absolutely give you that. But let's say you're down. Let's say you're down in the postseason. Look at Houston versus Kansas City last year. Patrick Mahomes was down 24-0 to Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. And guess what? He ended up winning that game, I believe, 51-31 because of his arm. His arm got him into that game. If that's Lamar Jackson down 24-0, scrambling and taking that much time off the clock is not going to get you into a winning position when you're down so much. And with Patrick Mahomes, you can have a traditional running back. You can have a guy that can really eat up yardage. And with Lamar Jackson, he's an amazing runner. And since he is such an amazing runner, he kind of takes away a lot of the traditional running back position, because a lot of times he's the running back from the quarterback position. So that's why I believe that Patrick Mahomes is better for a team. He is more clutch. He is better when he is down. And I would take Patrick Mahomes any day of the week over Lamar Jackson. Even though you
really can't go wrong with either.
You can't. Oh, no, you can't. But even though I do have Baltimore winning this game on Monday night, I am going to go with Patrick Mahomes.
I was about to say, when this season over, I might have the Chiefs having a better record, though. That's what I will say.
That's the point.
All right. Let me give my 2 cents on the matter.
Oh, yeah, Judge. People came to see.
Patrick Mahomes will be a Hall of Famer by the end of his career. That is no question. Both of these guys will. That's a fact. Lamar Jackson, easily one of the best scramblers. I put him above Michael Vick, who did this.
Michael Vick 3.0.
Yeah, I put him above Michael Vick because I think that at the rate he's going, he will do this better than Michael Vick did. And Michael Vick did this so excellent. He did it so well. But if you had to ask me if I'm choosing Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, you know who I'm taking? I'm taking neither of them because the quarterback that I'm taking is Russell Wilson. That's right. I said it. I knew. I did this on purpose. I set this up so that I would have a platform to talk about how disrespected and underrated Russell Wilson is. Listen to me.
The guy with no MVP votes at all.
Listen to me.
Hold on, Lamar.
Listen to me. Listen to me, you peasants. The fact
You can't
in
do that. You should have just said.
this is my show. This is
You
my
just said
channel.
You should have just
I
said.
will do what I
Seth,
want.
are you taking this
I
right
will
now?
do what
Are
I
you gonna
want.
take this from him right now?
Yes, you're gonna let me do this because let me tell you the fact that
You're
in
not
the
taking
8 years that Russell Wilson has been in this league and he has had not one single MVP vote is absolutely egregious. It is just disrespectful, absolutely abysmal. That man put up numbers upon numbers upon numbers upon numbers. And you mean to
That
tell
is so
me
true.
not even one single MVP vote? Not
That's
one
true.
single MVP vote. You mean to tell me?
Not
you mean
even
to tell
not
me-
even when they won.
Exactly. You mean to tell
Nobody
me?
was like,
You mean to tell me that in the entire 8 years that he's been here, people chose you chose Cam Newton over him. You've chosen Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, but not a single vote for Russell Wilson? Are you serious? Are you kidding me right now? This
I feel
dude,
like
listen to
the
me.
league.
He might not have the height of a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson, but this dude can scramble and he can launch the ball better than anyone I have. Listen to me. That dude, let me tell you, the bombs that he threw to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett in week one alone of this season, and then to do the same thing Sunday night against the Patriots. DK Metcalf up against one of the best corners in the game and Stephon Gilmore and made him look like a little boy because
Yeah,
of
but
Russell
you also
Wilson.
said scramble though. You really gonna
Listen,
put him over Lamar Jackson
I'm
when
not,
it comes to
I'm not
scrambling?
gonna put him over Lamar Jackson, but he can scramble. Before Lamar even got to this league, Russell Wilson was the scrambler. Russell Wilson was the guy everyone was talking about when on the run, he's dangerous. When on the run, he can pick up 20-plus yards and convert for a first down with his feet alone. He could do the same thing in the air. You don't believe me? Look back at the NFC Championship game in 2015 against the Green Bay Packers in overtime. Straight up bomb to the end zone that sent them to the Super Bowl, and they eventually ended up winning that Super Bowl. And you know who was the MVP of that Super Bowl? Russell Dangerous Wilson. So you want to know who I'm picking? I don't want Patrick Mahomes, and I don't want Lamar Jackson. I don't care how good they are, how young they are. Give me Russell. I dated and married Sierra Wilson. Give me that man. Give me.
You mean future stepson?
Yes. Give me him. Give me Russell. Give me Russell. I'm raising young future Wilson. Give me that man. Give me that kid.
Wow.
Give me Russell. I had a baby of my own with Sierra Wilson. Give me that guy. I want
this
Russell
guy is really.
Wilson.
See, look, Judge, you framed that, bro. Look at that. Look how you did us. You did us dirty on that one.
And I knew it. I did that too. I did it on purpose because I knew because I know if you ask the question, who do you want as a quarterback in general, you could say anybody. Cam,
but you can't
Rodgers,
do that with
Reeves,
two.
Mahomes,
You're gonna give us
Jackson.
2 players.
I want
Gave us 2 players, Judge.
Wilson.
By the way, my answer still stands. Any quarterback in the league, give me my vote.
I
don't
My
care.
answer still stands.
Wilson.
Hey, but you guys, this
I could care
could
less.
be
I don't
Nolan
care how
Boyd.
good they are. I specifically set up that question with the intent to go on last so I could say that Russell Wilson is one of the most disrespected and underrated quarterbacks in this game. If he doesn't have a single vote, by the end of this year, Roger Goodell, me and you, buddy, 6 o'clock. Watch out. All right.
Judge. But if we're talking about disrespected QBs, Cam Newton has to be in that talk too.
But like,
I put him up there. Cam's up there.
just seen what he's done this week.
But like,
I put him up there.
I still feel Judge on that one because you mean to tell me that Russell Wilson he couldn't have got one of those?
Not a single MVP vote. Not a single
I mean, I'm not even talking about
vote.
votes. I'm talking about MVPs, like winning votes. He didn't get a vote.
Right.
He's never going to say anything about it.
Listen to me. Russell Wilson has not been injured in all of his career. At least I don't think so. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty certain Russell Wilson has not missed a season. And every single season, he gets better and better and better and better and still doesn't get the respect he deserves. Mind you, I still can't stand him because he's on the Seahawks, right? And he gives my Niners so much trouble, right? I still can't stand the guy, right? But if I'm taking Russell Wilson all day. But you know what? I'm not gonna continue. I'm not gonna drag this segment out any longer than it needs to. All right. I got Baltimore winning this matchup. I got Baltimore winning. Seth, you said you had Baltimore winning.
I got
Final
Baltimore.
predictions, boys. Baltimore or Kansas City? Who wins?
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Good
Chris,
game.
Baltimore or Kansas City?
I don't know. I'm just gonna have to wait and see.
All right.
I'm about to say he wants his points for Patrick Mahomes.
That's the safe answer.
Right, I do need my points. I need my points.
That's a safe answer. All right. So that's going to wrap up this segment. We are getting into our very last segment of the day, which is going to go by really quick because it's just straight up rapid fire predictions. So we'll get into that right after we come back. Welcome back to Drive by Drive. Seth had to go, unfortunately, but he will be back next week. We will be here. We will get through a show without losing a member. I guarantee you. Before the end of the NFL season, every single one of us, the four of us will be here from start to finish. It'll happen. You have my word. And if it doesn't, I'll do something on my channel, a live punishment that they'll get to pick. But if it doesn't happen, but don't you conspire against me and be like, hey, yo, I'm gonna miss a game. I'll have to cut out. Don't do that just cause. All right? Because if that's the case,
I will. Say I won't.
all right. We're going to get into our last segment of the day, and it's just rapid-fire predictions for the week. We're going to go through all the games. We gave our prediction for the primetime games already, so we won't go over those, but we will go over all the other games. We got some pretty sweet matchups coming up. So let's get right into it. First 10 o'clock game of the matchup. The home team, the San Francisco 49ers, take on the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium again for the second week in a row after the stadium and the turf gave them so much troubles injury-wise. The Niners have to come back to MetLife to play one more game against the Giants, who are missing Saquon Barkley. Boys, who do you think comes on top in this one?
Christian, go first.
Crap. Y'all ain't gonna like me for this one, but I'm gonna go with the Giants just because of how the 49ers are lost many key pieces. Even though the Giants has lost their key piece in Saquon, the 49ers have lost more key pieces in
I'm not mad at that.
however many pieces they lost. They lost 10 people are not playing this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the Giants based off of that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chris. This is your last episode of the show forever. You're not coming back on. You're not coming back on because you chose the Giants over the 49ers. I can't believe it. No, I'm just playing. Mill, Giants or 49ers, who takes this one?
Neither. I think Russell Wilson's going to win that game, actually. If I'm you. But if I'm me, I'm saying the 49ers are going to win. Nick Mullins, if I'm you, is going to go off. But if I'm me, I think it's going to be Jerick McKinnon. So I'm going with the 49ers. There's no week that you're going to ask a 49ers fan, especially not me, especially not you, where we're going to say, I think we might get edged out. No, I don't care if the only people we have to play is Kyle Shanahan, our defensive coordinator. We're going to win in my head. So I have the 49ers.
Yeah, I got the 49ers too. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to announce that Million Jackson and Christopher Young will not be coming on the show after this episode. This is their last episode of the season.
It's been real, you guys.
This is the last episode of the season. They're not coming back.
But I said Russell Wilson. Come on.
It's just me and Seth from here on out. No, but I got the Niners winning too in a not even in a close one due to the fact that we don't have most of our players. But it's going to be an interesting game. I got the Niners. All right. The Washington football team. I feel like I got to wear a blazer with patches on the elbows every time I say the Washington football team. The Washington football team travels down to the dog pound to take on the Cleveland Browns, coming off a hot win against the Boosie Cincinnati Bengals. I got the Browns winning this one in a close one. I got the Browns.
I do not believe Jarvis Landry is subpar. OBJ starting to heat up. And Baker Mayfield is running around the field, holding his crotch. So I feel like I have the Washington football team, especially their defense really surprised me in these first 2 weeks. Their defense kind of surprised me. As far as their offense, I'm gonna go with the football team this one. I mean, the Washington football team.
Double patches. Yeah. Chris.
So I'm going with Washington.
Yeah, that's every time we have to mention the Washington football team. It's gonna be elbow patches. Chris, who you got in a battle of nobody cares about these teams? Who do you have winning?
I'm gonna go with a football team too. It just so happens to be that football team is the Cleveland Browns. So because you said it yourself, OBJ, he's been heating up, and if he's
Nick Chubb as well.
Nick Chubb's too. Nick Chubb's
is putting up numbers.
So if OBJ is able to go back to blonde hair New York Giants OBJ, they're going to be able to have themselves a decent season. And if Baker Mayfield is able to do as well as people hype him up to be too, they're going to have themselves a decent season. Washington, they're going to be there too. So I'm just going to say that the Cleveland Browns are going to be able to get this one, and I don't think it's going to be close.
All right, there it is. All right, next up, we got the Cincinnati, who the heck cares about the Bengals, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Who do y'all got winning this game? Both of these teams aren't doing so great. That's
The
expected
referees.
from that.
But he said the referees. I feel like Roger Goodell might win. Nah, he might lose. Roger Goodell might lose on this one. But no cap. I like the way Joe Burrow's looking. He's giving these defenses a run for their money, especially Joe Mixon is playing. Joe Mixon is playing well. Excuse me, sorry, fan fell over. Joe Mixon playing well. And with the injuries of Alshon Jeffrey and Jalen Reagor, Carson Wentz being like not good.
Garbage is the word. Garbage.
Everybody in Philadelphia just signed off. So I got the Eagles losing. I forgot. Wait. How did I just forget the team? The other team. I like the Eagles losing. Yeah, Cincinnati. Because nobody cares. I have the Cincinnati Bengals.
Chris, who you got winning this matchup?
I mean, we all know how much of an arm Joe Burrow has.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen what he was able to do last week. This man threw like 61 passes.
Yeah, 61 attempts.
I'm like, dude, how is your arm not tired after 40 passes?
Facts.
Just off of that, I'm just going to go with Cincinnati. And even though Carson Wentz isn't as bad as they make it seem, he is pretty doo-doo. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick Cincinnati for this one.
I actually have the Eagles picking up their very first win of the season here, and I only say that because I think this is going to be sort of textbook for the Cincinnati Bengals this season. I think the fact that I know it's unpopular, but I think the story of Cincinnati's season is Joe Burrow comes out, has a good game, does great job, but in the end, the defense just gives the game away and does not help and does not supplement the offense at all. I think Cincinnati has something going with its defense, with its offense, with Joe Burrow and AJ Green out there, and Tyler Boyd and all that. You know what I'm saying? I think they can do something in the offensive game, but defensively, I think Carson Wentz, finally has himself a subpar game, at least a Nick Mullins kind of game, if you will, and does enough to get his team the win. So I got the Eagles taking this one. On to we got a bunch of 10 o'clock games, so we got to get through these. Anyway, the Raiders traveling to Foxborough to take on Cam Newton and the new generation of the Lale Lulelo, or the Patriot, as they call them. But yeah, the Patriots take on the Raiders. I got the Pats winning this one pretty handily by at least 10. Yeah, I got the Pats.
Patriots going to have a field day with this one. If the Raiders are able to, I'm gonna tell you like this: if the Raiders are able to actually win this game, I will force my mom to sell my apartment. Simple as that. So that's how confident I am in when.
All right, you heard it here first, and we are recording. You heard it here first. All right. Mill, you got the Pats?
Oh, yeah, I see Cam Newton having a field day. Julian Edelman's gonna have fun. He's gonna have fun. I'm gonna predict 2 rushing touchdowns for Cam Newton. There we go. You heard it here.
Yeah.
2 rushing touchdowns.
All right. Let's see. The Chicago Bears travel to ATL to take on Matt Ryan and the Atlanta All We Do Is Blow Leads Falcons. So, how does this game go? I think the Falcons actually win here. I think the Falcons get a dub. Sorry, Chris, but I do think the Falcons take this one.
I feel as though I'm never putting hope in Mitch Trubisky to ever do anything good, and that the Chicago defense. But also, I don't know, Tariq Cohen, it's okay. And other than that, I don't see any threats on the offense. So moving to the defense of the Bears, pretty good. It's not too bad, but I definitely see ATL, Matty Ice, Calvin Ridley, and wait, Julio is. Yeah,
Julio questionable. He might play.
Yeah, he's questionable. So if he plays, I feel like Julio Jones plays with turf toe and still is able to dance on his feet. So I feel like even if he is injured, he'll be perfectly fine. He won't see anything. So that offense is going to tear apart that Chicago defense. That's what I'm saying.
Chris, in your heart of hearts, who's winning this matchup in your heart of hearts, Chris? This one's close to home for you.
Chicago.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. We got this.
Okay. All right. Next up in the 10 o'clock games, probably the most anticipated 10 o'clock game that could easily be a primetime game, if I'm being completely honest. The LA Rams travel to Buffalo, New York to take on Bills Mafia, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, and those boys. It's going to be such a great game, and I'm really excited to see how it goes. Guys, who do you have winning this matchup? It's going to be a really good matchup. Jared Goff taking on Josh Allen.
But I'm going to go with the Bills on this one, just strictly because of the game that they had last week. Because from what I seen last week, Stephon Diggs had himself a game, bro. Like he had himself a game. Like from what I seen last week in our league, Stephon Diggs had put up 29.3 fantasy points, which is more points than Travis Kelce, more points than Christian McCaffrey, and more points than where is he at? Even though he got injured, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I'm going to go with the Bills if they keep the same momentum that they had from last week.
Yeah, I got the Bills winning this one too, not only because I need the Rams to lose because they're in the NFC West, but I just think the Bills, Josh Allen is such a slept-on QB. Seth wanted me to mention this earlier before he left, but he definitely thinks that Josh Allen is one of the most underrated QBs in the league right now, and that he thinks Josh Allen is going to be a star. And, so I got the Bills. I'm pretty sure Seth might have the Bills as well. But, yeah, I got the Bills winning this one in a really good game.
Tariq and Stephon Diggs had more fantasy points than Tariq Hill too. And let's not forget about Josh Allen and when he had that little rushing that he did. That man was dogging everybody. This man that man said get in the gym when he went for that rush that I'm talking about. We can't show highlights on here. I wish we could.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep my channel alive, Chris. Trying to keep it alive. I'm trying to kill it.
Copyright.
But if you do want to pick this up, NFL or ESPN, I'm definitely down to pick this up. Just give me a studio and I'll make it happen. Anyway, we're gonna Rams or Bills.
Oh, I have the Bills defense is for sure. Jared Goff subpart is gonna give them problems. I have the Bills defense doing a lot here, and Josh Allen is a beast.
Yeah,
got him. So Bills on this one.
All right, cool. We're gonna bust through these next few. The Houston Texans travel to Pittsburgh to take on Big Ben and the resurging Pittsburgh Steelers. Boys, does Houston finally pick up its first win of the season, or do the Steelers go 3-0? What happened?
No, the Steelers go 3-0. Joe Hayden and his smothering defense is all over Deshaun Watson. I have the Steelers winning this matchup.
Chris.
I'm just gonna go with the Steelers off of this one because they have pretty decent momentum going into this one. Deshaun Watson is able to hulk up, but I really think that the Steelers are going to edge this one out.
Yeah, I think Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans are going to struggle this season. They're going to try and find themselves without Deshaun Watson. They're going to try and find their identity without DeAndre Hopkins. They're going to try and have to find their identity. And I finally think that they're going to have to make the tough decision, although it's not that tough at all, and get rid of Bill O'Brien. So, yeah, I got the Steelers remaining undefeated and the Texans remaining winless. All right, next matchup, the Tennessee Titans, with their momentum also undefeated as well, take on the winless Minnesota Vikings. So, boys, again, does Tennessee remain undefeated, or does Minnesota finally pick up its first win?
Vikings defense is too iffy. I feel like Ryan Tannehill hitting Johnny Smith and Derrick Henry slicing through their subpar run defense. I feel like the Titans edge this one out.
All right, Chris.
Derrick Henry is just gonna go on a killing spree. Let's just be honest with ourselves here.
Simply said.
Derrick Henry is gonna go on a killing spree, and that's what's gonna get Tennessee to go 3-0.
Yes, sir. I got Tennessee winning this one in a landslide. All right. I'm sorry. The Carolina Panthers, who are also looking for their first win of the season, take on the 1-1 Chargers, who put up a pretty good showing against the Super Bowl defending champions. Who wins this game? Do the Panthers finally get their first win, or does Justin Herbert have himself another game?
The Panthers do not get themselves their first win, to be honest with you, because is Christian McCaffrey going to be out this game?
Yes, he's not playing.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that much. Yeah, so I'm going to think that the Chargers are going to get this W.
I think we're all in agreement. Chargers take it.
Yeah, but I do. It's a little iffy for me because I think Teddy Bridgewater and Robbie Anderson. I feel like they're gonna. I feel like they're gonna do some work, but in the end, I feel like Justin Herbert to Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry. I feel like there's gonna be. Yeah, this game might not even be close. Actually, take that back.
Right. Here we go. The Jets go to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. And we are going to run right through this one and say that the Colts dominate the Jets. All right.
No, I'm going to say that this is a draw and nobody wins. I feel like the score is going to be 21-21 in overtime. They're just going to want to quit. That's what I'm saying.
I think the Colts take this one. I think the Colts take
Flags are going to take this one.
Who? The Flags? All right. Here we go. The first of the 1 o'clock afternoon games, I should say, the first of them, that is, the Dallas Cowboys come in to the 12th man to take on Russell Wilson and the smoking hot Seahawks. This one's going to be interesting. The Cowboys, they are hoping to have themselves a year now that Jason Garrett, all I do is clap and not coach, is gone. Now that he's gone and he is the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants, they're looking to have themselves a better year. So I have to choose the Cowboys because although I hate them because I'm a Niner fan, I have to choose them because I need the Seahawks to lose because they're in my division. So this game is really tough for me because last week I had to go for the Patriots, who I also don't like, but they were playing the Seahawks, so I had to go for them there. So back-to-back weeks, I've had to go for teams that I could care less about. Anyway, I got the Cowboys winning in a close one. I think Greg Zuerlein hits another walk-off field goal to get the Cowboys a W. That's my fantasy. In reality, Russell Wilson's going to have himself another game. We all know this. What are you guys' thoughts on this game?
I got the Seahawks winning, even though I don't particularly want them to. I feel like the Seahawks team is not a team that you can go down by 20 points and then come back. Dak Prescott's subpar. Don't like him. His favorite pass play is a handoff. Seahawks.
Chris.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Seahawks for this one. Even though they had the miracle that transpired last week, I don't think that's gonna happen against the Seahawks at all.
Defense is too
They
good.
go if they go down by 21 points, they're gonna go down by 35 points at the end of the game. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Seahawks.
All right, another winless team going up against another undefeated team. The Detroit Lions looking to get their first win against the Arizona Cardinals.
It's not happening. Arizona's going to scrape them. I got Arizona.
No,
But I do feel like DeAndre Swift's going to have a good game, but that's about it.
maybe Matthew Stafford will have a good game, but that doesn't mean that the Lions will win.
That is true.
Not the Cardinals.
Unfortunately, the Cardinals are looking really good, and they're going to remain undefeated, and this is going to suck for Niner fans all across the world.
They look
Tampa
like
Bay
this.
Buccaneers travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. I think Tampa Bay gets a win here. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, me too. I got Tampa Bay.
I'm just gonna say Denver just because I got faith.
Man,
Interesting.
Just
All right.
because.
And then all that remains are the primetime games, which should be very exciting. So that'll do it for the predictions of Week 3 in the NFL, and that'll do it for this episode of Drive by Drive. But before we get out of here, I'm going to hit you with another score update from the NBA. The Los Angeles Lakers are currently leading in the fourth quarter with about a little less than 10 minutes left, and they are leading by 6 against the Denver Nuggets. Can Denver mount a comeback in this game, or will Chris's dream come true, and will the Lakers make it back to the finals for the first time in 10 years?
I believe. Let's go.
So we'll see. So if
3-1s don't mean nothing to us. Come on.
So there's your update for that. Thank you all so much for watching this week. We thank you so much for watching, as always. We love you so very much. Tune in next week after what should be a really exciting week in the NFL. We'll definitely be talking about both primetime games and reacting to them and how they went down. And we'll be reacting to whatever else happens. And hopefully, God willing, there will be no more injuries this week. So we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for watching. As always, thank the boys, Christopher Young, Millian Jackson, Seth Winfield for showing up and doing his thing. And as always, it is your boy, the Superpower Man of the Hour, Inspirational, Sensational, the Judge Cantrell, signing off for this edition of Drive by Drive. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day.